Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra with me, Shail Bhatnagar, and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street. Well, it's panned out to be a fantastic session, a historic one at that too. Fresh record high levels for the Nifty today. It's climbed up for the very first time above 25,100 mark, 100 points higher in trade right now for the Nifty. That's a 0.4% of an uptick that you can definitely see. IT, Pharma, the Nifty next 50 stocks, infra, auto and small caps. These are the ones that are helping the markets continue to tread higher. IT all the way for sure. So LTIMindtree is 7.3% higher in trade as the top moving stock as far as the Nifty 50 is concerned, followed by Wipro, Divis Labs, Infosys, Bharti Airtel, IndusInd Bank. These are some of the top winners as far as the Nifty is concerned. What's still not doing well and is staying on the back foot is Asian Paints, Maruti, Nestle, Axis Bank, Britannia and Adani Enterprises that are still lower in trade. But it's panned out to be a fantastic session because a lot of subsectors have also been up into the move. Auto ancillaries is something that's been garnering all the attention. Consumer durable stocks, power stocks, PSUs. These are some of the pockets that have been garnering all the attention. Good afternoon to all our viewers and good afternoon, Shail.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a perfect Wednesday right in the middle of the week. We have a record high and a record high that is coming in on the monthly expiry of Bank Nifty, and it is also coming one day in advance before August draws to a close. So what has been a trying, a difficult month is now ending with a fantastic note. I'll request the PCR to please fire the daily chart of the Nifty. This is the 10th successive day of gains at 25,108. Not only is the Nifty at a record high, it has also rallied about 1150 points from the most recent low of 24,078.79, which was hit on 14th of August. So are the charts overstretched? Only time will tell, but so far the momentum is fairly in favor of bulls as far as the Lal Street is concerned. A record high on NSE 500. This is the broadest market that we track. A fresh peak on the Nifty IT index, 945 points higher at 42,655. In fact, a large part of the 100-point gain that you see on the Nifty is contributed by IT stocks today. Infosys bringing in 40 points, LTIMindtree bringing in 9 points, TCS contributing 7.5, WIPRO HCL about 6 points each, and Tech Mahindra 4 points. So if you total all this put together, more than two-thirds, 65% of Nifty's gains are because of the IT index. Then a record high in the small cap index, small cap 100 index, and of course the Pharma index. So booming gains across the road. As far as the overall advanced decline ratio is concerned, because we've rallied so fast, now it is the time to sort of take a breath. It's 1200 losers to 1100 gainers, so a bit of the back foot as far as markets are concerned. And in the NSE 500, 290 stocks are in the red compared with 209. This is as good a time to take a health check of the market with Mr. Kunal Ram here. He's the founder of The Streets, a very well known technical platform. Namaste Kunal ji, a very warm welcome. 10-11 days of sustained gains on the Nifty. Are we looking for a profit booking somewhere in the first week of September now that a new high has been breached?
Good afternoon, Shail sir. Good afternoon to everyone. So if you look at the Nifty rally, at the beginning of the August, we saw massive negative sentiment all around. And the main reason was the carry trade of Japanese markets. But at the same time, from that particular low itself, look at the steady performance of Nifty, clear high at of higher bottom, and we are nearly to the new high. We are trading at the new high. In fact, today morning only we were cracking jokes that if someone would have gone in comma, after a month, the Nifty is just up by around 50 points from the previous high levels. So yeah, overall the trend remains very much intact. As you rightly said, sir, it's near to the previous high and a bit of profit booking is likely, but again, the trend remains very much intact. Till the time Nifty remains about 24,750 mark on the spot, I think one can keep on buying on decline and participate in the ongoing rally. If someone is already holding the positions, I think stock specifics stop losses will make a lot of sense at this level rather than keeping stop loss on the index level.
Okay. Good afternoon, Kunal, and good to have you with us. Do tell us any fresh stocks at record high levels in the markets that have caught your attention. Where would you focus?
Good afternoon, Shakshi. So yeah, the counters which we discussed earlier also on our show. One is BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. Now look at this counter. A clear sideways consolidation was clearly taken out on 16th of August. The breakout level was at around 2660, and it's trading. It's making a clear higher top, higher bottom. In fact, today in the morning, it made a fresh high of 2835, again available near to the support. So with the positional mindset, one can think of accumulating BSE. Stop loss can be around 2690, and the targets can be as high as 3000 levels. And the another counter which I like the most at this point in time is the marathon next gen. Now this counter is just in sideways consolidation since June 2024 so far. The strong support is at around 555. Look at today's low, it was at around 564 level itself. So with the stop loss of 564, one can think of initiating a positional buy on this. I think a new rally might just emerge anytime soon. So the targets can be 700 to 725.
Okay, got it. So those are the two stock ideas from Kunal, BSC Marathon Next Gen. These are two stocks which we'll keep on our focus list also. Within the IT move that we are seeing a very strong one built up today, where are you keeping your focus? Would you stick around with say LTIMindtree that's been on top of the radar, or anything else beyond that that would have the secondary moves now coming in?
So again, Sakshi, the trend was very, very clear in the IT segment. And if you look at Infosys and the TCS of the world, they have started making new highs. I'm closely monitoring Infosys. The only reason being the counter is now reaching the previous high, which was seen somewhere in the January 2024. The high was 1953.90. Today it's trading near that level. By any chance, if Infosys manages to cross that particular high, I think 250 to 300 points more to go on the upside for Infi. So I'll go with Infi. I'll keep the stop loss of around 1895, which is today's low, and the targets can then be 2045 to 2100 kind of levels.
Okay, let's take a detour into the markets and do some spotting. Sakshi, in the morning I had told you that there will be a digit change in Sun Pharma. Well, the market's very kind, and now the counter is above 1800, 1821 to be precise. This is about 1.8% higher, and about 60% of 5-day average is done. A new peak for Sun. What else is buzzing in terms of volume? It's Torrent Pharma, 2.24% higher. About 510,000 shares have been traded. Granules is doing very well. Remember, it was down early morning but made a very nice reversal. 4% higher, 701. Similarly, you have record highs in Lupin, Aurobindo Pharma, Abbott India. Abbott India has also changed digit. Now, Sakshi, it's above 30,000 rupees. We seldom discuss this stock, but at 30,000 rupees, still about 27,000 shares are traded. So these are good times for the pharma space. Relatively cheaper valuations compared with the broader market, and of course, very very predictable revenue streams coming in terms of US generics, the CDMO space, and of course the kind of new launches that are happening. Lupin in fact mentioned that it had just won a new permission from the US FDA for a launch in the US. Your view, Kunal, on Lupin and any other pharma stock that you prefer working better on the charts?
So again, Shreya, so these all counters like IT stocks, they have been in trend since quite a long time. Let's take an example of Lupin. The first breakout was seen on the weekly chart somewhere in May 2023, where the counter gave the first consolidation breakout of around 850. And look at the price, that's 2200. It's a trending counter. So in such trending counters like in case of Sun Pharma or Lupin, one should actually buy on decline. And the previous bottom, whichever is the previous bottom, once in Lupin, which is at around 2090, I think somewhere near to that level can be a good bargain buying opportunity rather than chasing these counter on the breakout where the risk reward ratio is a bit unfavorable. One should accumulate on the decline. But yeah, absolutely, the trend is very much clearly strong.
Okay, got it. So trend is very strong at this point in time. Let's also get you to talk about the pharma space. beyond the stocks that you have discussed, laboratory stocks or hospital stocks, would you also look at some of these pockets as well, Kunal?
Absolutely. I like Metropolis Lab the most. Again, the only reason being the counter is very slowly and steadily making higher top, higher bottoms. Just going back and checking the previous levels. In July 2023, the counter was near to 1500. Right now, it's 2100, but still, it's making clear higher top, higher bottoms. Very silent counters, and the trends are very strong. So, preferred counter is Metropolis. If someone is trading in derivative, I think this counter can be a good trade where the straddle, short straddle can be created along with long futures, and a regular, monthly income can be created out of this counter. Extremely bullish. The stop loss is 1975 right now. Buy on dip can be a good adopt if someone wants to go plain on futures or on the counter.
Let's get you to talk about the FNO space and what's buzzing there too. Trend. Let's talk about this again. We have been focusing all on trend since last week, and this week also it's been buzzing sharply. Almost a 6% gain on trend within the FNO space. How would you look at the stock even now at 72.50? There is no let up with the kind of rally that we have seen, 250% of a surge in 1 year. This stock has definitely turned out to be the massive outperformer that there is, a multi-bagger of sorts. How would you really look at it?
It's actually a very clear one-liner on this counter can be when the trend is very strong. 6,850 can be a good support. Keep that in mind. Keep accumulating this counter on decline. If someone is already holding, 6,850 can be a good stop. Only reason being the trend is really very strong in the counter. Rather than buying on breakout, I'll prefer to buy near support level.
Okay. Let's look at some of the volume buzzers which are sort of knocking the brains out of the Lal Street based on news. NBCC. This is the highest highest tracked counter today. When you see the volumes, they are about 5,400 crores worth of shares, and we still have about 45 minutes to go. News is simple. August 31st is when the company decides on a bonus issue. It informed shareholders via the exchanges last evening, and it just blasted to a record high, 209. Now fairly down from that level, 195. But Kunal, now what are the long-term charts of NBCC telling you?
Absolutely, Shelsa. Long-term charts are very clearly strong and positive. The trend is very clearly intact. But at the present level, what we saw was somewhere in July, counter made high of 198. Today, it made a high of 209 plus levels and back to the same level again. So for now, I think this 198 might act as a strong resistance. By any chance, if the counter is available somewhere near 185, one can think of accumulating this counter. Stop loss can be 175 in that case. But at this level, I will not really be keen to buy. I'll wait for a day or two for a fresh breakout that's above 198 on a closing basis to initiate the buy.
Okay, that's a fair point. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, please keep this stock on your radar. This is a very, very high beta counter, which has done fantastically well. And with NBCC, always travels HUDCO. These are two government-owned entities looking at the construction finance sector. HUDCO is Housing Urban Development Corporation, which sort of provides finances to long-term builders to make houses, and this is at 288, 3.5% higher. I think the all-time high on HUDCO is 310. Let me check that, but in the meantime, you'll get a view on HUDCO from Kunal.
Yeah, sure, sir. Again, this counter is perfectly available near support itself. Look at June 2024 low levels, those was 278. And this counter since June 2024 has not broken this 278 mark. In fact, yesterday's low and day before yesterday's lows were also 277.50 itself. Today's low is 278.8. So this is a perfect level to initiate buy if someone wants to play with that trend. Stop loss can be 276. That's around 12 points from the present level. And if the trend continues, then again we can expect the levels of 325, 330. Here in this counter, risk reward ratio is extremely favorable. One can initiate buy today itself.
Okay, so keep an eye out on HUDCO, and ladies and gentlemen, what comes back into fashion is IEX. Uh, it's changing a digit for the better, now above 200 rupees. This is a price that we last saw in May of 2022, and from then on you see a nice correction which saw the stock bottom down at 116 in June of last year, and from 116 it's been a nice upward journey. 202 Kunalji, what are the charts telling you? All time high is 317.
So Shell's a consolidation curve breakout was seen on 10th June 2024, where the counter gave a closing at 180. And since then, this 180 turned out to be a strong support. And you can see a clear higher top, higher bottom on the daily chart. It's making new high as of now, but again, the trend is very clearly positive. One can initiate a buy now itself. On the decline, one can think of initiating buy near 190. The overall positional stop on this can be 185. If someone is already holding, keep the stop loss of 185. Keep riding the rally. I think positional targets on this counter can be 230 to 235 very, very soon.
Okay.
Okay, Sakshi, anything that you are watching?
Yes, IEX you've already discussed. The other thing that I also wanted to discuss is the small cap rally. Kunal, the way the stocks within the mid and the small caps have come back to record high levels after weeks and months of consolidation now. How should one strategize within these two spaces? Is it time now to start building up greater positions here?
See, again, Sakshi, it goes very stock specific, and again, whether the counter is in the trend or whether it's near the consolidation. So, a common, advice to all our viewers can be, if the counter is in trend, rather than buying on the breakout, one should accumulate when there is a correction in the market. But at the same time, if you see a counter being in consolidation for almost 3 to 4 months, and if it's coming out of that, one can initiate a buy on the breakout itself. So, one such counter is Tata Techno, where we saw the breakout happening yesterday. So such
Correct.
kind of counters can be initiated on the breakout, otherwise wait for the consolidation and a bit of correction.
Okay. How would you look at this exchange stock within the small caps? MCX 3% higher at 5,003 odd levels. Of course, it hit a high of 5,010 today, hovering around the same levels. What would you say at the day's high?
It's a trending counter again, Sakshi. So yeah, absolutely a very strong counter. Look at the last 22nd July low. Since then, not even a single candle on the weekly chart is negative. Every candle has turned bullish. Now that's what confirms the strength of the counter. Buy on dip can be a good strategy from positional point of view.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are starting the last wheel of the market. About 40 minutes are left for trade, and it's as we've discussed earlier, turned out to be a fantastic day, week, and in fact 2 weeks. Record high on the Nifty today. The previous peak that was hit on August 2nd has been taken out, and August 28th to August 2nd would probably be about 18 trading days. In 18 trading days, we've suffered the depths of pain when the yen carry trade was unwinding, when the SEBI crisis was unfolding along with Hindenburg, and of course, a mediocre set of first quarter earnings were being unveiled. But such is the buying power of retailers that all these dips have been purchased aggressively. The low for for August was 23,850. If I'm not mistaken, and from then on, it's been an unending party. We are looking at Reliance tomorrow, which is the AGM date. Kunal, what do you think are the charts of RIL telling you?
See, again, Shelter, if you look at the weekly chart right from the low of Jan 2024 so far, there is a clear trend which is offering a good support to the counter near 2940. counter is right now trading at 29.90. So positional stop on this entire formation can be 29.40. By any chance, if the counter manages to cross 3030 mark on the higher side, it can be an inverse head and shoulder breakout on the daily chart. So yeah, positionally, it's a perfect trending counter. Either buy near support that's around 29.40, or if the counter manages to cross about 3030 tomorrow, we shall initiate a buy with the stop loss of 29.40. In both the cases, the target positional targets can be 3175 to 3200 kind of levels.
Okay, 251, ladies and gentlemen. As I have said, we are now wrapping up the markets as far as today's trade is concerned. We'll also look at the action that we see in the FNO space. Okay, in terms of OI gainers, I see a very strong move coming into ITC. This is a very strong uptick in terms of open interest. Kunal, what according to you are the best stocks on the long side based on strong rollovers? What is your data telling you in the FNO space?
See, again, Shell sir, it's very, very obvious and very clear looking at the trend that the IT companies are looking really good. So one can think of looking at IT companies on small decline or say consolidation, where the open interest is also building up quite good, and at the same time, good roll numbers are also seen. At the same, so we'll wait for a day or two and see how the things shape up. But I think IT can be, the positional and trending play for the coming month.
Okay, and in any case, it's been a great month for IT stocks so far. A fresh 52-week high that has come into Infosys today after a very long time. Let's just drill down into technology as far as the FNO space is concerned. We track 4 plus 4, 8, 12, 14 stocks in the FNO space as far as IT is concerned. And let's look at the monthly change. Okay, TCS is the smallest gainer, 3.7%, and L&T Technology Services, which recently came out with an analyst call is up 10%. Now, what is really interesting is stocks that are still doing well but are negative on a monthly basis. Kunal, Birla Soft, what are the charts telling you? A very smart, but overall in the month of August, this is an underperformer, actually down 7%. What are the charts telling you here?
Absolutely, Shell sir. Now again, let's just go back and see the weekly chart. May 2024 low was around 565, and look at just 3 weeks back low, which is 550 again. Almost equal bottom, and see the behavior on the daily chart. We can see a clear higher top, higher bottom coming in. So yeah, it's a trending counter, and so far it has been underperforming. But I think it will catch up very soon with the peers with this stop loss of around 625. That's two candles before low. One can initiate a buy, and the immediate target can be 710 to around 740. Once those levels are taken care of, I think we can expect the even higher levels to around 820 to 825. But for short term, the targets can be 710 and 740 with the minimum stop loss of 625.
Okay, one needs to watch Birla Soft in relation to another peer, which is larger peer, KPIT Technologies. Both of them have traditionally moved absolutely together, and while we see a record high coming in on KPIT Technologies, it's Birla Soft that's lagged far behind. KPIT hit 1920 in the morning, matching its all-time high, which was seen on 12th of July. So keep an eye out on KPIT as well, and of course the underperformance of Birla Soft will also come into fore. Let me just point out some interesting stocks that are doing fantastically well. I'll request the PCR to fire Gulshan Polyols. At 216, the counter is up 10%. You have a strong move coming into stocks such as GMM Fodler, 5% higher, 1424. News driven counters, Kunal, how would you rate Z on the charts? The problems with Sony, the legal hurdles have been taken away by both companies, and the counter was in good shape yesterday, today morning as well. What is Z telling you?
See, honestly speaking, Shelser, if you look at the historical data from February so far, the counter is still in this within the sideways consolidation itself. The highs which are seen on the chart are around 162 to 165 levels. On the lower side, we have a strong support between 130 to 135 levels. If the counter manages to cross this 162 mark, I think it can be an all-in kind of counter where one can initiate a buy with the stop loss of around 140, and then the targets can be as high as 225 to 250 levels, which we saw somewhere in January. But until this is taken out, I think we'll stay away from. I mean, I'll at least prefer to stay away from this counter. Let the breakout come, or if the counter manages to reach near the support level, which we saw just yesterday itself, that's around 130 levels, we can initiate a buy near support. Till then, a short-term trader can definitely trade between the zone. Positional trade will be about 160 to 165 zone.
Now,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have. Please continue, Sakshi. Welcome back.
yes, had some technical issues with respect to my internet connectivity right there, but it's back. And the few stocks that I wanted Kunal's opinion on is first again from the travel space. The monopoly maker Interglobe Aviation, that's zooming ahead, 2.6% higher in trade today at 48.68. How are you looking at Indigo? And do you think there is further strength to be had and one should be looking at the stock now afresh?
Absolutely, Sakshi. The fresh breakout was seen on 23rd August, and that
Yes.
breakout was at around 20, 45, 30, 45, 40. And after that, the counter has clearly made higher top, higher bottoms on the intraday charts, daily, not even a single negative candle, and counter is trading at 4,900 now. 4865 kind of levels. So yeah, from here, if there is a minor decline, say at least in 4650 kind of levels, then one can initiate a fresh entry on this, and the targets can be as high as 5100. At this elevated level, I will not really recommend someone to create new position. If already someone is holding the position, keep the stop loss of 2650, 4650, and continue holding the position.
Okay, got it. The other space that I wanted you to focus on is the consumption space as well. We're seeing a whole host of these FMCG names come back into action. Godrej Consumer, Colgate, United Spirits, Dabur. These are all picking up in trade. Anything that catches your attention within the consumption basket there?
To be very honest, Sakshi, most of the counters are nearing the high itself and the previous high, which we saw somewhere in the month of June and July. I'll be a bit cautious. The trend is definitely positive, undoubtedly, yes. So any minor decline from the present level, say by 1.5%, can give us that comfort zone of risk and return. Then we can think of initiating a buy. Otherwise, if someone wants to chase the momentum, it can always be an IT space, much which is well poised with the a clear breakout rather than FMCG for now.
Okay, got it. Well, thank you, Kunal, on that note for being with us on this very special show and sharing, wide varieties of insights on various sectors and stocks that you've shared with us.
My
Appreciate your
pleasure.
time
Thank
with
you
us
so much.
on Market Today and on Business Today Television. Viewers, we will now welcome another guest also joining in on the show with us will be Mr. Sharad Avasti, the head of research at SMIFS, and of course, his presence is getting greeted with all-time high levels on the markets. The Nifty above 25,100 odd levels. How would you look at the newfound story within the markets after some days of consolidation? We are back above 25,000 and newer record high levels. Mr. Avasti, are you encouraged, enthused enough to see momentum gains from here?
Yeah, I think the way the markets have recouped from a lot of nervousness over the last, 2, 3 days, I think it seems like likely that we are higher lows very soon. Largely, I think results have gone on. Now, most probably the interest rate cuts as we were waiting. That seems like information. So most probably over the next 2-3 months, we'll see a rally emanating out of the interest cuts and most probably more money coming into emerging markets as rate cuts happen. So I think yes, most probably most emerging markets would be in a sweet spot. India would be in a better spot because the domestic inflows are strong. Add to that the return of FII money. I think that would substantially boost market prices from here on, simply on the demand supply side of it.
Namaste Sharadji, a very warm welcome. We were missing your very valued presence on our channel, so we requested you to come on the show at a time when obviously the froth, the happiness, and how should I say, sentiment, positive sentiment is flourishing on the Lal Street. In this kind of a market, is there anything that catches your fancy which you would recommend for a long term hold, say at least 2 years, where investors can step at current levels?
Yeah, I think one theme that we are working on is basically the private sector banks. I think there the valuations have become attractive, and most probably the deposit issues and the advances growth issue all should be handled very well over the next 2 to 3 quarters. Stock like HDFC, the merged entity might start moving as desired. Most of the legacy structure issues are behind us. So that could be one stock, and even and then the PSUs and in the private sector banks, I think IndusInd Bank would be a very good dark horse to place your bets on. I think with the AMC license and everything, most of the things would improve for most private sector banks. The valuations are not at peak multiples, so most probably you will get some improvement there also. So I think private sector banks could be a theme that you could play on. Even in Kotak, I think the wait could be a bit longer because there are deep-rooted changes the management is doing with respect to turning it into a primarily retail bank and improving the services, etc., and focusing on Gen Z. But the results of that might take a bit of time to come out into the numbers. But I think at these valuations, most of these banks are trading at attractive valuations. Even an Axis Bank and ICICI Bank might have 10 to 15% upside from current levels. So I think private sector banks is one theme that we are looking at among the large caps. And beyond this, I think obviously UPL, PVR kind of stories continue to dominate and hog the limelight. Most of the IT stocks have had a decent run. Today's run up is very strong. So I think that is the story to continue to play. Not particularly in the large cap space, but I think the second stock or the third IT space could offer you much better opportunity. LTIM is a long term bet that I think similar that we are looking at. This is one surprises.
Okay, Mr. Avasti, tomorrow again we are looking at this big event unfold, our RIL AGM in front of us. So, how are you looking at this opportunity for investors? Do you think there will be big bang announcements? Again, there is a lot of expectation that's building up around the IPO announcements, if at all, of both Geo and retail, or at least a glide path to that. What exactly are you expecting from the AGM, and how would you advise investors to look at RIL ahead of it?
In terms of looking at RIL, I think what we are expecting is that from current prices, maybe a 10% upside does still, I mean, still you have that kind of up move left in the stock. But in terms of AGM, I think retail IPO might be a bit far off the road. Geo certainly is something that I'm looking forward to. I think that is a possibility that the company might. And the big bang announcements that I'm expecting out of this is the green energy part. The more concrete plans they delve out of that, I think that is a big space. And in terms of valuation, also when you look at the SOTP, most probably the green energy is still not valued to the hilt. So once they concretize the plans, that could be one area that could give them some fillip. So my focus will be on how they what they announce regarding the green energy plans, and particularly the Geo. So the Geo IPO, I think, is most that you can get. That I think major trigger would be how they contract business.
Okay. Um, Mr. Avasti, the other thing I wanted to ask is, as far as the IT space is concerned, how are you looking at this fresh momentum? Where would you look to place your fresh bets? With the large cap IT names, Infosys, HCL Tech, TCS and the like, or would you look at the mid cap IT space?
See, across the board, I think the large caps would be fairly to fully valued at current prices, barring maybe a Wipro and an HCL Tech, where you have a thematic story of the data center business ramping up. If the data center business to play out for them. But rest of it, I think if you look at the Infosys and TCS and the likes, I think most of them are valued to optimum levels. I don't think there is much upside left at current prices. Uh, on the smaller side, I think if you have second rung stocks, I think LTIM, as I said, is a good bet. Coforge is something that I'm very bullish long term, so I continue to hold. Similarly, on the smaller side, an emphasis could be a good idea based on increasing discretionary spend, and a new management team has also come in. So, management rather than a shareholder, basically, so investor. So, how they rake it up, I think that is something that would be interesting to watch in emphasis. And they have a lot of exposure to BFSIs and the US market. So, I think both of them should do very well. So, emphasis could be one story you could look at for a lot of re-rating to happen. And among the middle names, I think something like an LTIM Coforge should do very well. For LTIM, ideally, the synergy should play out very strongly. And they have some first mover advantage in some of the new generation businesses that should also help. And I think even the frontline names, if you want to bet on a theme longer term, I think Wipro and HCL Tech do look attractive. And within them, I think Wipro would be more attractive in valuation terms. So I think within the large cap names, you focus on Wipro, HCL Tech, second line, Coforge, LTIM. The third line, most probably an emphasis could be a good bet to look at.
Okay, let's take a detour into the pharma space, uh, Sharaji. Uh, Between the time you came last and now, we've seen very modest but regular appreciation in pharma stocks. There haven't been upper circuits, but there have been consistent returns. Many stocks, mid cap, large cap, blue chip pharma names are now in record high territory. Are there some stocks where you still feel value is to be had given the first quarter earnings and of course new capacity coming up? What looks good in pharma?
I think across the frontline names or the well-known names, it would be hard to find ideas which would do very well from here on. Because I think the first line of improvement that had to play, which was arresting of the downfall in prices, fall in prices globally, particularly in the US, that has been arrested. And I don't think there's much scope for improvement from there on. So I think Sun Pharma, Cipla, though Sun Pharma has 3 or 4 blockbuster drugs that they might look at going ahead, and they have done very well with an Ilumya most probably, and some of the other drugs they have put in. But these are ideas that will work very well, over the next 4 or 5 years. It is not something that is going to play out over a 1.5 2 year kind of horizon. So I think valuation wise, if you look at a Cipla, Sun Pharma, I think it's all fairly to fully valued. Even for that matter, a DVs could be fairly to fully valued at current prices. How the capex that they have planned, which has been delayed for quite some time, that plays out is something we are looking at. But under the current circumstances, I think within the larger names, Dr. Reddy maybe after this acquisition does look like a decent bet to bet on. The valuations are still not stretched, and if the India business does, rake up as they are planning to, you could see some margin improvement there. So I think Dr. Reddy at these valuation among the large cap names is still good. And within pharma, I think the second line is pretty busy. From there, you need to pick and choose stocks that you like. Particularly, some of the API stocks could do very well in terms of improvement. A lot of slabs could do very well. But at current prices, most of them seem fairly to fully priced, other than Dr. Reddy.
Fairly to fully priced is basically a theme that's sort of resonating across pharma. Very difficult to pick up stocks at 35 to 50 PE at a time where they're already at record highs. Sharadji, till the time you came last to us on 14th of August, and I have written some stocks against your name which you have suggested. Let me just repeat those. Emphasis is something that you re-emphasized on, and it's worked very well above 3000 now. Some of the other names are Monte Carlo. This is of course a very well-known garments brand working out of Ludhiana. Sheila Foam from the uh, film side, which is the plastic film side, Polyplex, Yatra Online, Flare Writing, and Fusion Micro. These are the names that we noted down against your recommendations. Anything that you'd like to add further? Should I pencil in Dr. Reddy's today?
Yeah, I think earlier we have spoken about Dr. Reddy's as well. Some of the ideas in this kind of basket where where you could have phenomenal returns over the next 1.5 year, and a lot of re-rating could happen. I think stories like Dalmia Bharat, UPL, PVR Inox all store very well on these fronts. So these could do very well. Among the smaller names, I think most of them we have covered. Idea Forge could be one more name you could add to that list. I think that is an interesting story. We have spoken about it earlier. So these two, three, four names more could be added to the list. We continue working with the numbers more and more as we get interesting ideas. But generally, with bull markets, it's a bit difficult. By the time you conceptualize an idea, it has already run up a bit. So at times you miss out. But these are ideas that have fallen from recent highs, and I think there is a scope for improvement. The solid businesses, they will recover very strongly. Polyplex, when we spoke, no one was talking about, but after that, it recovered very smartly. So I think these are businesses that can do this kind of recovery over the next, 6 to 9 to 12 months.
It, well, another space that I wanted to take your view on is the autos and the auto ancillary pack also, Mr. Avasti. We've actually seen remarkable moves over last few days onto some of the stocks. The two-wheeler space seems to have got some re-rating of sorts with Ola Electric's listing as well. We've seen Bajaj Auto climb above 10,000 mark. TVS Motors also garnering a lot of attention from investors thereof. How would you really approach the two-wheeler story right now?
Within two wheelers, I think Hero MotoCorp would continue to be the best bet. Rest of the pack, even if you look at a Bajaj Auto or a TVS, fully pricing in most of the goods that the companies have in their numbers. So I think TVS, the electric play, has played out very well. From here on, to expect much more improvement would be difficult. Bajaj Auto might have a sweet spot in terms of the electric ramp up or even the CNG ramp up playing out very well. But I think Hero Moto valuation wise, it has the maximum comfort, and if Vida does play out very well, I think most of the numbers do not still factor in those improvements. If that does play out very well, I think there could be very strong improvements. And the hopes are very low. I think the new launches could be something people might look forward to. So Hero Moto would give me the maximum comfort at these valuations.
Okay, got it. Would you also look at an Ola Electric now after that 100% move and then some consolidation? It's now trading flat-ish at around 130 odd levels. So would you look at it?
I think if you are the risk taking type, you could take it. I was talking to someone, I was just telling them that if you look at the history of Ola as a company, I think volatility was a big use of prices being written off when this company started. This would have been particular would not be any different. So I think these are businesses which are like these, when you start something, you are not really sure that what is going to snowball into something much bigger than your existing businesses. That can happen very fast in these kind of businesses. They have a lot of triggers. I think the battery is a big trigger. Recently they launched the bikes also. I think bikes might receive a very good response, but electric in itself is a space that is metamorphing into something else. So we don't know whether electric will be there, will be the key place to bet on, or hydrogen would come in and replace. And there is a lot of talk about alternate fuels and total flex fuels, etc. So it's a space that's evolving at a very fast pace. And I think with Ola, when you believe that maybe the shared cab business or the two-wheeler business is something that will drive it, I think it's a gradual process. You never know what business will come out of it. But they are interesting opportunities. The battery development that they've done is certainly very interesting. Even the map development that they've done is very interesting. How it is commercialized, how it grows and scales up over the next 5-6 years is something we would like to see. But these valuations, I don't think I would be very much interested in buying something like an Ola Electric.
Okay, Okay, let's look at the Nifty, Sakshi. Since the last exactly 1 hour, the index has slipped 90 points from its record high of 25,140. This is absolutely in sync with the T-1 move that we see 1 day before the monthly expiry, and nothing to be worried about. Let's hope it ends in the positive and we have a nice close above 25,010, 25,070. That will design progress and of course put some pressure in terms of short sellers as well. Sharaji, which side of the equation do you stand in as far as the listing of NSE is concerned? And of course, some multinationals like LG and Hyundai are also very, very keen to sort of tap into this unsatiable appetite for quality paper in the IPO market. News coming in, LG is looking for a listing, Hyundai is in the pipeline, NSE is looking for permission from SEBI. Are good times here to stay for the IPO market?
Yeah, certainly. I think the amount of companies or the number of companies that will come out of this, particularly from India, they could be pretty large, and with multinationals also looking at India, because the domestic investor has suddenly become the pie on the cherry on the pie basically. So I think everyone's very much interested because this domestic investor is looking for quality and the appetite is huge. The SIP inflows are huge even beyond that, I think, and this is a number that's still not very big. We are looking at just 5-6% of savings, or maybe if the data is a bit backdated, it might go up to 8-9%. But even that is very much gullible, considering that US has 57% of saving going into equities. So if you are talking about you being a developed economy over the next 10, 15, 20 years, the Viksit Bharat logic, I think the type of per capita income growth that we are talking, there would be a lot of money that would come into financial assets, and a huge part of that would come into equities. So I don't think there is any slowing down with respect to people wanting to be a part of the Indian equity markets over the next 2-3 decades. And the same applies for IPOs also. I think with higher income and more people and more startup ecosystem also coming up, I think there is a huge appetite. The only problem is that we don't overdo it and get into wrong type of companies where people lose a lot of money. There are smaller platforms which are offering things like these. So that's a problem area. But I think the regulators are doing a good job. They might keep a tab of most of these, and they are a very small part of the total pie. So I think the IPO markets are something that are going to be very rosy for quite some time. Maybe the pace would not be as much as we have seen over the last 1.5 year, 2 year. But yeah, they should continue to grow steadily from here on.
Well, Mr. Avasti, apart from this, how are you looking at the frenzy in the SME IPO space? I'm sure you would have come across the company Resourceful Auto's 12 crore rupee SME IPO that got over 400 times subscription, bids worth 4,700 crore rupees on an IPO that was worth 12 crores. The surprising fact is that this is a company that has only 2 Yamaha showrooms with just 8 people as employees. How are you looking at such euphoria and frenzy in the SME IPOs, and what should investors out there really understand?
I think the basic rule of investing is very simple, Sakshi, that you should only invest in instruments that you understand. Understand in terms of the potential of the returns that they can generate as well as the risk that they can emanate. So I think with SMEs, what is happening is you are throwing caution to the wind. This is a perfect example. Many examples of this kind within the SME space. When I refer to as some problematic areas of investment, generating abnormal income for some people, I was referring to these kind of things, and some other platforms are also there. The regulator cannot keep track of everything, but I think they're doing a good job. These are still comparatively a very small portion of the total investment, so they are not very problematic for us. But I think you should have a keen eye, and for investors, I think certainly avoid these kind of stories where you don't understand the business. And I think if your advisor cannot tell you what kind of business it is and how it can grow and not grow, there are some startup platforms where they put in money without even without even looking at the financials of the companies. So I think these are all problematic things. They're similar to Bitcoin. If you want to take that kind of risk, that's okay. But if you don't understand the risk, I think you should not be jumping into buy these things. Keep it very simple. You only buy things where you understand the risk and the return probabilities.
Fair point. Sakshi, I think this 400 times oversubscription, while the number looks excellent, it essentially does not mean that the money goes into the hands of the promoter. It's lying freezed under ASBA as far as those very, very aggressive investors are concerned who applied for this one. But, you know, I have been on the other side of this debate. It's the audacity of hope. It's the audacity of hope because the same dealer could not have got a 11 crore rupee loan from any bank, public or private. The same person could not have taken an 11 crore rupee loan from a money lender. And it is the beauty of the SME platform that provides him with the opportunity to raise capital via sale of equity. He's been now world famous, and of course, I'm sure he will look at the business with a little more responsibility and a little more hope. Only time will tell, but it is, as I have said, one of the most dynamic parts of 2024, that here is a company employing 8 workers, having 2 showrooms for a dealership, and having the courage and the ability to raise money from investors across the world. So let us see how the quarterly numbers pan out, but these are exciting times, and we live in them, enjoying this lovely run up. 322 Sharaji, GDP numbers coming in on Friday, and of course we will also have this US Federal Reserve event on September 17th and 18th. How do you see these two macro events, one in India, the other on Wall Street, changing the financial landscape of Dalal Street?
I think in terms of GDP, the expectations are not very robust. So the probability that something disappointing would come out of it is very low. So I would take it as a non-event basically, where you most probably would not, receive any kind of jolts. And not maybe if something is marginally better than what is expected when you're going in with low expectations, the probability of, shocks coming into is very low. So I think the GDP has very low possibility of giving you a positive surprise or a negative shock. Regarding the US, I think from there again we will look for confirmation regarding the interest rate cut finally happening, and I think that's a big event that we will look forward to, particularly with respect to emerging markets. So I think from there you will get some positive response regarding how money flow would emanate over the next 3 to 6 months for emerging markets, and obviously India would remain a favored pie within it. So I think that would be something very positive that the Indian markets can look forward to.
Mr. Awasthi, the other space I wanted to get your view on is the entire energy space, especially the oil and gas space. Why? Because we've actually seen a lot of volatility in the crude oil prices of late, geopolitical tensions in the Middle East also rising. These spaces have recently had a very good run up also, both upstream and downstream majors. Investors have made good amount of money too. How should they approach the space right now?
I think, see, if you have bought it at the recent lows, barring critical conditions, gas should be in a smooth or a downward trajectory. So I'm not expecting much of that. So I think gas should not be a trajectory to go up. So that way, I don't think there will be many flows for the economy. In terms of companies, I think IT over the years plays marginally positive numbers, and valuation of 9-10 times roughly factor in regarding something like a petrol. A lot of capex is being done, which might fructify over the next 3-4 years. But in medium term, 1.5 to I think again price perfection. Regarding oil and ONGC, I think ONGC particularly the valuations very expensive. They are not expensive, and I think 10-12 times you could be looking at 400, 450 on the stock. So I think ONGC with decent dividend possible upside looks decent from current level. So ONGC might be a good bet to have on your side. Plus, there are some issues, that most probably there could be some big finds, offshore finds, though they are still speculation. If that does happen, I think then probably Oil India, ONGC have some very good long-term trigger that might pay out 3 to 5 years, because most of these are deep shore rigging probabilities. So that could be one space that you could look at, because I think are not stretched. All valuation 400, 450 might not be very difficult. And that discoveries do play out over the next year, strong period. But OMCs, I think, in the oil and gas space, largely focus on ONGC. I think that's a good bet to have on.
3:26 p.m. ladies and gentlemen, just 4 minutes left. Mostly the Nifty will end in the positive. This will be a successive 10-day rally. 25,000 remains with the bulls, plus the fact that you have a record high intraday 25,140. So seminal day for Indian equities. Not only are we seeing a fresh move coming into the index, we are also seeing record highs on a series of sector specific indices such as Pharma and IT, and how should I say, market space indices such as the small cap index, the NSE 500. What also is interesting is that market mojo in terms of volume is back. Lots of hectic moves coming in, backed by heavy buying. NBCC 11% higher, the top traded counter, 5,846 crores worth of shares traded. Tata Elxsi profit booking after 22% rise over the last 2 sessions. The counter has given back 9% to the market, 2,400 crores worth of transactions. LTIMindtree, Trent are also in the green and attracting fairly decent volumes. What is also buzzing is the entire PSU basket, led of course by NBCC, but HUDCO is in the green. There is a very strong move coming into stocks such as IFCI, which actually now becomes a quasi play on the NSE planned listing. IFCI has a huge chunk of NSE shares, and given the market rumors that the price is around 6,200 rupees per share in the unlisted space, there is fresh momentum coming into IFCI. India 5% higher, HUDCO, Indian Bank, PNB, Hemiprop doing phenomenally well. So this is what has happened as far as the PSU space is concerned. Defense, well, profit booking continues. Cochin, Garden Reach ending mildly in the green. Railway stocks have come back with a vengeance, and they are sort of up between 1/3% and 1/5%. Strong move coming in here, and of course there is no stopping Pharma and there is no stopping IT. Sakshi.
Okay, well, we'll thank you, Mr. Avasti, on that note for being with us on this show and sharing such wonderful insights. Always a pleasure to host you with us on Market Today and on Business Today Television. Hope to see you very soon back on air with us. Thank you so much. And with that, viewers, we'll start wrapping up the market now. We're just about 30 seconds away from the markets to shut shop. 25,000 is definitely going to be with us towards the closing of the session. We've hit a new record high on the Nifty today, and we now have a reference point of 25,129 as the all-time high of the Nifty that we will be looking at on an intraday basis. On the closing basis, we've seen a close at 25,045 today. Sharp moves were seen across IT and the Pharma spaces. These were the winning sectors. 1.7% higher for IT today, 1.2% higher for the Pharma index today. LTIMindtree, WIPRO, Divi's Laboratories, Bharti, Infosys and IndusInd Bank remain as the top movers on the Nifty towards the end of the session today. Adani Enterprises, Asian Paints, Maruti, Shriram Finance and Britannia while slip into the red. FNO movers, IEX, strong move, 7% higher, 206. LTIMindtree, again another 6.8% of a move at 6187 for LTIMindtree. Granules ended with over 5.5% gains in FNO space. Trent also higher by over 5%. These were the top FNO movers today. On the downside, you had names like Crompton Greaves Consumer, JNK Cement, JK Cement. We had RBL Bank, Bandhan Bank and Aditya Birla Fashion Retail that has been pretty volatile of late. But panned out to be a fantastic session. Tomorrow again will be the monthly expiry that we will be looking at. And of course, we will be looking at how NVIDIA's results tonight come in and how that could be impacting the global markets overnight and therefore give us cues for tomorrow morning. Stay tuned with us as markets, beyond markets also, coverage continues on Business Today television for you. India's NSE has applied for this no objection with markets regulator for the public offers, which now may be closer to its IPO. That's been a long awaited one by all the investors community since BSE has been there with us for investors to participate, and of course it has also given a dream run to investors. Just wanted to get Gaurang's view on what kind of opportunities can come in if this comes closer to reality on NSE. How should one be prepared?
Well, keep your checks ready.